CNN's Anderson Cooper went after Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi here over her LGBT record. Suddenly, after the shooting at a gay nightclub, she is feigning being a champion of the LGBT community, and he wasn't buying it.
I talked to a lot of gay and lesbian people here yesterday who are not fans of yours and who said that they thought you were being a hypocrite, that you for years have fought, you've basically gone after gay people, said that in court that gay people, simply by fighting for marriage equality, were trying to do harm to the people of Florida, to induce public harm, I believe was the term you used in court. Do you really think you're a champion of the gay community?
Let me tell you, when I was sworn in as Attorney General, I put my hand on the Bible and was sworn to uphold the Constitution of the state of Florida. That's not a law. That was voted into our state constitution by the voters of Florida. That's what I was defending. Had nothing to do, I've never said I don't like gay people. That's ridiculous.
But do you worry about using language accusing gay people of trying to do harm to the people of Florida doesn't that send a message to some people who might have bad ideas in mind?
Anderson, I don't believe gay people could do harm to the state of Florida.
But you argued that in court.
My lawyer argued a case defending what the Supreme Court allowed the voters to put in our state constitution.
But you were arguing that gay marriage, if there was gay marriage, if there was same-sex marriage, that would do harm to the people of Florida, to Florida society.
That it was constitutional to put that in the Constitution.
Are you saying you did not believe it would do harm to Florida?
Of course not.
Had there been no gay marriage, had there been no same-sex marriage, you do realize that there would be no spouses, that boyfriends and girlfriends of the dead would not be able to get information and would not be able to probably even visit in the hospital here. Well, so isn't there a sick irony in that?
Well, yeah, and let me tell you something. Let me take it a step farther. People aren't right now who are partners and aren't married officially aren't able to get information. So we're trying to assist them in getting information because early on,
isn't there a sick irony that you for years were fighting that very idea?
I was defending the Constitution of what over 69% of the voters put in the Constitution.
But the federal court said that's not the Constitution, and you continued to fight it.
No, that's why we rushed it to get it to the U.S. Supreme Court, because we needed
before it was the Supreme Court, there was a federal judge, and you continued to fight it after the federal judge ruled, and in fact, you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money fighting it.
We rushed to get it to the Supreme Court.
Is it hypocritical to portray yourself as a champion of the gay community when I'm just reflecting what a lot of gay people have told me they don't see you as
Anderson, this is about victims who need help. This is about family members who need services.
It's just that I will say I have never really seen you talk about gays and lesbians and transgender people in a positive way until now. I read your Twitter history for the last year, and I saw you tweeting about National Dog Month and National Shelter Dog Appreciation Day or Adopt a Shelter Dog Month. It is Gay Pride Month. You've never even tweeted about Gay Pride Month.
That was journalism. That is what you're supposed to do. That was 100% on point. So understand, guys, I have been relentless and ruthless against Anderson Cooper multiple times on the show, and I think it was totally merited. Why? Because he didn't do that. Now, you can go back and you can watch the Secular Talk clip where Anderson Cooper is on Howard Stern and he talks about why he doesn't think journalists and reporters should vote. He makes the argument that, well, you want to be neutral, you want to try to take yourself out of it, so you don't want to come to any conclusions about anything ever. I mean, this is the argument he makes. We need to be 50-50. We're above that, so we shouldn't even vote. No, just because you're a journalist and just because you're a reporter doesn't mean you can't be logical and rational and objective. And when you're being objective, of course you can say, hey, that person's right and that person's wrong. And that's been the problem with CNN and their terrible false neutrality and false equivalence reporting is that they will always call it down the middle no matter what. So you invite on a Democrat, you invite on a Republican, you have them debate it, and then you move on to the next segment without giving any answers. So the classic example that always comes up in my mind is they had on Bill Nye the Science Guy to debate Marsha Blackburn, a Republican congresswoman, about the reality of climate change. They gave you the impression it's 50-50, then they move on to the next topic. No, you just lied to your audience. That's a lie. You did a massive disservice to them because we know that climate change is happening. We know it's largely because of humans, and you just made it seem like it was 50-50, and we don't know. No, but we do know. You're doing journalistic malpractice if you don't say, hey, by the way, Bill Nye's right. I'm just here to fact check and give you the data, and the data says he's right and she's wrong. So if that Anderson Cooper was in that scenario, what would he do? He would be pressing Marsha Blackburn because she's wrong. She is incorrect. If you're being objective, you hammer people when they're wrong. In this case, this woman is wrong, so he's calling her out, and he's not letting her go. That's how you fucking do it. I want to see more of that. That's his shining moment, and his shining moment was not, we're going to be neutral and call it 50-50. Did that look 50-50 to you? No, that was him going, I'm against you. You want to know why I'm against you? Because your entire career has been demonizing and putting down gay people and fighting against their rights. And now all of a sudden, when a tragedy happens to them, now you're like, oh, I've always kind of been on their side. I don't know what you mean. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong. I'm not insinuating that this woman wanted to see people get slaughtered. Of course she didn't want to see him get slaughtered. But you have to keep it real about where they are on the spectrum. And the Republican Party and many far-right conservatives in the U.S. that are feigning concern now, they have been from day one against gay marriage. They have been against anti-LGBT protections, anti-discrimination laws. They're still against that. There's over 25 states in the country that allow a business to fire somebody or kick them out of their place of business because they're gay. So these are the people who are still opposed to that. And yes, it's fair to say that on a spectrum, the worst end of that spectrum being the Muslim fundamentalists who want to kill gay people, and on the other end of the spectrum being the liberals who are for total and complete equality with gay people. People like this woman, this attorney general, they're in the middle. They're not totally on the side of gay rights. It's only when it's fucking convenient that they go out there and say, oh yes, my LGBT community, I'm so sad you were attacked. Anyway, let me go do more talking points about how you shouldn't be able to get married and people should be able to discriminate against you. No, he wasn't buying it, and he shouldn't be buying it. And he's right to do this, and he needs to do this more often. Fuck the fake neutrality, man. You got to be objective. And when you're being objective, it leads you to some conclusions that are very strong, black and white conclusions, but they need to be said. Like, for example, if you're liberal, if you're progressive, Bernie Sanders is the better candidate for president of the United States. It's not an open question. Oh, I'm just as liberal as the Bernie supporters, but I support Hillary. No, then you're not as liberal as the Bernie supporters. Sorry, not sorry, but that's the truth. She voted for the Iraq War. She voted for the Patriot Act. She wants intervention in Syria. She led the intervention in Libya. The list goes on and on. She was for NAFTA, pushed for the TPP 45 times. It's not a question. It's not like, oh, let's act like they're both equally liberal on both sides, and they're both right, and they're both as consistent in their record. No, one is better, one is worse. Take this kind of mentality where you're going to do rigid truth-telling no matter what, and apply it everywhere. That's what I want to see from CNN.